Okay, so I'm back with TV musings, and tonight I'm going to muse on WandaVision for the final time. Episode 9, the last episode, dropped on Friday, today being Sunday. I have been working nonstop at the day job and haven't had time to really make a video, but I have been able to watch the episode twice. I actually stayed up late Thursday night again and waited till it dropped on the West Coast. So it came out at 3 a.m. our time, my time, Eastern Standard Time. So, and luckily it's not a real long, the episodes aren't very long. So I'm here and I'm going to kind of talk about like what happened. I'm not going to do what I did with the last video or two, where I'm kind of like, watching part of it while I'm talking, or getting some cues on all the exact plot points. I think I went a little too far with that last one and was a little dry. Just kind of wind up boring, kind of, rather just talk about it like we were talking about it, we're hanging out and we're talking about it, which is kind of what I'm trying to do with these videos anyway, that kind of vibe. So, not saying you want to hang out with me, but at least this way you don't have to hang out with me in person. Just kind of have a safe distance, social distance. That's a big social distance here. So, listening to some cool music in the background, and I'm going to start in on this incredible final journey. So, this picks up with Wanda from last episode. Picks up on everybody. Wanda and Agatha from last episode, mainly them, revealing Agatha's plan and kind of the origins of Wanda's power, key events that happened to her in her life, which we had never seen before, kind of happened in between the movies. Episode before that, we left off with the other major characters. Didn't pick up on them really much last episode. We didn't pick up at all on Monica, Pietro, Vision, and Darcy. So we pick up on them in this episode. So, I'm not sure what order everything happens. I forgot already, but try to boil it down. Juan and Agatha are still kind of facing off and levitating and firing different colored mystical bolts at each other. Wanda's are red, of course, and Agatha's are purple, which is a very stylish lady. So Agatha's talking a lot of trash, just like the last episode, kind of campy, kind of over the top. She pulls back once or twice. I really don't know what my final summation of Catherine Hahn's performance and the way that character was written and performed. It's growing on me. Since she's more of a comedian, and is kind of approaching it in this campy, over the top way, her performance is a bit arch, so to speak, compared to what's building with the drama of Wanda and Vision's love story. So I would say this is an uneven episode as far as just quality, but it does answer a few more questions, and it resolves some things, of course, we were wanting to resolve, like giving that asshole Hayward or whatever from the Sword organization, the militarist, giving him his comeuppance, which I've been looking forward to anyway. So in that sense, it's kind of predictable, and Monica, of course, embracing her new power, and she's going to go off on some new journey. A lot of this is teased out toward the end of the episode. The major things that we learn are the Vision is alive again. The actual Vision, like his body, same body that was in all those movies. And he's now the White Vision. He's been kind of reprogrammed to go after Vision and Wanda, and inside of the hex on Westview. And you know, he's a little more robotic in the way he talks. There's still Paul Bettany. He's under a lot more makeup. So we realized, you know, once and for all, that the Vision that we've been empathizing with, that's our second lead character, was created out of thin air by Wanda's power, which kind of figured that was the case. So, you know, Agatha, you know, starts freeing the town people, and they start remembering who they really are. They're not under Wanda's thrall anymore, and they turn on her, of course, and she plans to let them go. Monica is trying to help out however she can. Pietro, we learned, is just some guy named Ralph Boner, as he jokes about it. You know, Evan Peters is kind of lame. I mean, he's kind of a lame. Ralph, he's just some lame guy, you know, and Agatha just used him and as Pietro, just randomly, I guess. But of course, we know from a meta level why Evan Peters is playing him, since he played him in the X-Men films. So it ties up that plot thread, you know, and there wasn't really much to it after all. I think Quicksilver was just there to jog her memories, to kind of well, with the audience, you know, kind of, we're exploring everything about Wanda, what we know about her, what we think we know about her, and a lot of it is kind of falling away, and we're realizing that she has a destiny that is been hurried along by all the events that have happened to her since her parents were killed. But it was kind of intended for her, or at least potentially intended for her all along, like a genetic destiny or whatever. So again, I'm not sure if the original Scarlet Witch that she sees in a vision, pardon the pun, in Sokovia, right before the events of Age of Ultron, I'm not sure if that Scarlet Witch is her ancestress, is that a word, ancestor, or just forebear, just inheriting the mantle. But she is inheriting the mantle, and she's kind of disavowing it. You know, she's telling Agatha she's not a witch. No one's trained her in magic. But somehow she's kind of holding her own against Agatha, and you know, finally Agatha's, you know, like, this is kind of typical. She's like, throw all your power at me and I'll absorb it. And so I don't really understand Agatha's motivation. I'm not sure if she wants to gain all of Wanda's powers and then, I don't know, do whatever she's going to do, conquer the world. I don't know, you know, be the most powerful witch. It's not really, there's not really much there. And if she's going to take all of Wanda's powers, then why is she like pushing Wanda towards the destiny of embracing all these powers? I guess she's trying to get her to have those powers rise to the fore, and it'll be so much power that it'll go into Agatha. I don't know if she then intends to kill Wanda, destroy Westview. I don't know. It's kind of one of those murky plot points that is shouted kind of in between blasts and CGI and action. And you know, rewatching it, I still don't see much to it, but I think on a more storytelling level, Agatha is the catalyst for Wanda becoming a witch. And so even though the circumstances are totally different, the character of Agatha is somewhat different. This is the same thing that happened in the comic books in the mid 1970s. Steve Englehart run of the Avengers comic, where Agatha Harkness teaches Wanda magic directly, and she kind of becomes a witch for real. So, you know, the same thing has happened. The end result is the same, and it involves Agatha Harkness as the catalyst. It's just the details are all different. So, you know, it's fine as an adaptation. It works. And, you know, Wanda's kids are around, and they're starting to use their powers. They've inherited, you know, the one kid has got the power like Wanda, and the one kid's got the power like Pietro. And of course, we realize that just like in the comic books, thanks to John Byrne, I think, and those horrible retcons I keep slagging of his, we had learned in the comics that her kids weren't real. She had created them with her magic, which we knew in the Vision Scarlet Witch miniseries, the second one, comic book, that Wanda's magic helped in the process of impregnating her with Vision's kind of essence or whatever. And they really were having sex because he was anatomically correct, like a synthezoid. Which in this one, he's more mechanical inside, but I guess he's still anatomically correct. So, because they joke about having sex a few times during the sitcom stuff. So she actually, yeah. So in other words, she well, not she, but what's presented in the sitcom reality in Westview is that similar to what happened in the original Vision Scarlet Witch series, and that what I just said, she uses her magic and takes Vision's essence or whatever, and that's how she has the kids. But the truth is the same truth we found out in the comic books, which is that her magic is created them out of thin air. They don't really exist. I think this is going to continue to be a plot point because when Wanda realized all this and the full extent of it in the comics, she went insane and her power level increased even more. Doctor Strange had to kind of settle her down, and then she was taken away by Magneto. So I'm going to get into that whole Magneto and the mutant aspect of this thing. She's not a mutant. Spoiler. I'm sure you've already seen the episode if you're watching this. I hope so. She's not a mutant. About 90% or more of the things that I had read in passing or heard that supposedly were going to happen in the last two episodes, especially the very last one, didn't happen. No indication they're ever going to happen. I've talked about this phenomenon before, but I'll get into that later. That's in my commentary after I get into looking at what happened in the story. So predictably, the White Vision, who is the actual Vision body-wise, fights the Red Vision, who's the one Wanda created, who has, his real personality and seems like the real Vision. They battle, and Red Vision, I'll call him that, he whips out that weird power he had where he taps somebody's head in Westview, and then they remember who they are. So he does it to the gem on White Vision's head, which of course is not a Mind Stone, but probably closer to what Vision's was in the comic book. It's like a solar battery or something. But he taps that, and the White Vision remembers all of his past in that body in his prior life. So he realizes he is the Vision. And he flies away, and that's it. He flies away. We don't see him anymore in the episode. There is a hint later, though, about it, what it means. So all that's left, really, for Agatha, after all this power overwhelms her, she can't absorb, is she can't use her spell anymore because Wanda created these runes in the air, which, had something to do with what Agatha said in the last episode about a witch, the witch who, I don't know what the right way to put it, creates, draws, whatever, these runes, is the only witch within that area who can use her magic. So she shut down Agatha. So Agatha's kind of like, I don't know if she's taken away her power, but she's definitely, she's kind of blocked it for good. I hope it's for good anyway. And she consigns Agatha to her punishment, which is that she's going to be Agnes again and live in the sitcom reality alone in Westview, I guess, for the rest of her life. Agatha's, before she does it, Agatha's like, "You're going to need me," and Wanda's like, "Well, I'll know where to find you." So the way Wanda emerges from all this, from trying to deconstruct the hex and let those people out and defeating Agatha, I guess it's like an embracing of her destiny. And so her outfit changes, and it's, fairly close to the comic book, the classic outfit with the kind of tiara-like thing, and, the original Kirby design, which had the long gloves, and then bare shoulders, and then kind of a red kind of tight thing here. Though it doesn't have like cleavage like it did in the comics. And she did have cleavage in the outfit with the leather jacket that I thought was really great. But her hair's literally long and flowing and very red, and she has kind of like black leather pants or whatever like your typical MCU character seems to have, and crimson boots or whatever. But she has kind of a mid waist section that's kind of like a has kind of like a fall on the back of it. Looks kind of like a dress, kind of like a jacket, like tails on a jacket, a dress jacket, ducktails or whatever they call those things. Ducktails? No, there's another name for it. I'm thinking of that cartoon. So yeah, so if you just kind of squint a little, then it's like, wow, she really is the Scarlet Witch. She really looks like the Scarlet Witch. So I was happy about that. That was cool. That's fan service to the nth power. Um, so all that's left really now, before she embraces her full destiny, is to finish up in Westview. And the last thing really to finish up is um, her and Vision. That they're not going to make it. In other words, her family is not. There's a line to that effect. Their family, what they have, is not going to survive this change. So before I get to that, I'll just say real quick about the other characters. Hayward kind of like goes full scumbag in this episode and tries to shoot and kill Wanda's kids. And when Monica gets in the way, he's trying to shoot and kill her. He's pretty maniacal. I mean, we kind of saw that coming, but I was afraid they were going to try to somehow redeem him or justify him. But no, he's just a piece of shit, basically. And he tries to escape in his vehicle, and Darcy smashes into him with hers, and says something about you're going to jail or whatever. See, I don't know, but that's all we see Darcy. So they're dropping one by one all these supporting characters. Monica, after everything is said and done, and the town is opened back up, the hex is gone. She's told by her loyal people from Sword this woman wants to meet with her, a higher official or whatever. And of course, there was a lot of speculation about who this would be and what was going to happen here. Turns out to be the female Skrull from Captain Marvel. I don't remember the actress's name or the character's name. She was the mate of the Ben Mendelsohn male Skrull in Captain Marvel. And as we saw at the end of that film in the post credits, Nick Fury is aboard the Skrull ship orbiting the Earth. So yes, of course they're shapeshifters. So this woman reveals herself as that Skrull and says to Monica, she was sent by a friend of her mother's, which you think is probably Carol Danvers. But she talks about, meeting him up there, so she must mean Nick Fury. So whatever mission Nick Fury's cooking up with the Skrulls, Monica will be in on it. I guess it'll be her first kind of mission as like a superhero with powers or whatever. So that was pretty cool, I guess. That's setting up other movies. A lot of the stuff at the end is trying to set up other stuff. The best thing about the episode was the little time that Wanda and the Red Vision that we've been seeing say goodbye. She says goodbye to the children. She says, thank you for letting me be your mother. So we don't know, are they real children that she also ensorcelled like the rest of the people of Westview, or did she create them out of thin air, like I said? I guess she had to create them out of thin air because they aged magically super fast. But I get what she's saying, and I think. And so her and Vision have a pretty, emotional, I guess, goodbye. And that's it. He's gone. And like you said, the other guy is the Vision. And she says, as he's fading away, she says, we'll say hello again. It's talking about the different incarnations. So I think she means she will encounter the white vision, the vision, now that his memories are awakened, and there will be a connection there. Because their connection is through her power being awakened by the Mind Stone. And of course, Vision was awakened by the Mind Stone. So there's always going to be a connection there. That's their kind of mystical or whatever connection. But of course, they have the emotional connection that they've come to have to. And so it's like, what the hell does Wanda do now? All this is wrapped up. She flies away, and there's a couple of post-credit sequences, and essentially, Wanda goes to this kind of like cabin or something way out in the woods. I guess it's like a place where she's like meditating or whatever. I guess she's going to study magic because she's taking the Darkhold book with her. I didn't mention that. That was introduced in this episode officially. I think we glimpsed it in the last episode. In the comics, the Darkhold is kind of like Marvel's take on the Necronomicon from Lovecraft. So Agatha had brought it out during their battle in this episode. So now Wanda has the Darkhold and she's studying magic, and Agatha told her, "You're more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme." So that means Wanda is more powerful than Doctor Strange. So what we're to infer. Of course, again, people on the internet said, "Okay, now Wanda's the Sorcerer Supreme," but that's a process. You have to be kind of like anointed that by someone like the Ancient One. So again, it's more shit on the internet people are making up or assuming. And when we leave Wanda, she's with the book, and see her in her Scarlet Witch raiment, and her eyes are glowing red, and she's got the red magic around her, and you hear the voices of her children, and I don't know if she's trying to recreate them again. It's going to have some kind of, I feel like it's going to have a similar vibe to what happened in the Bendis run on the end of the original Avengers series, which I've referenced here before, where Wanda realizes her children never lived and she'd been deceived. She goes insane, starts, using her power. Her power increases. Doctor Strange has to kind of shut her down. Everything I said a few minutes ago. I think they're going toward a riff on that of some kind, because we know that she's going to encounter Doctor Strange in the next Doctor Strange movie, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is going to be directed by Sam Raimi, which is pretty damn cool, really. A lot of possibilities for it. They're teasing out the multiverse. So I want to touch on some things that are actual possibilities, maybe, kind of, sort of, and then I want to talk about all these kind of rumors and allegedly things that were going to happen or are going to happen. So they kind of annoy me. So as far as what probably will happen, I just mentioned a couple of things. It's going to dovetail into Doctor Strange's movie. I don't know if he's going to train her using her magic more. That's what I would think, but I might be wrong. Again, I'm not into this whole speculation idly thing unless there's like some real evidence or some credible rumors or whatever. I'm not going to say what I would. I'm not going to say I would like to see this happen and then assign that reality. But a lot of fans do that, and it's annoying. So I'm trying to just basically extrapolate from what we're actually seeing and hearing that's more concrete. But yeah, I would think possibly Doctor Strange would be the one to help guide her with her new power, since they're already going to meet and we know all that. There's a reference in one of the faux advertisements in the sitcom homage episodes, and I forgot to mention this one. There were a few that I mentioned. They were just all referring back to things in Wanda's past connections, like Hydra and Lagos and such. Well, one was Nexus. It was like a product. I forgot what it was. There was an ad for that. And so I didn't know if that was a reference to that internet crossroads that was in Age of Ultron. I thought that was called the Nexus. And maybe that is all it was. But I also have thought for a while that it may be reference to the Nexus of all realities. from Steve Gerber's run on Man-Thing. So Steve Gerber created the Nexus of All Realities, and it seems that if they're going to go into the multiverse, the Nexus of All Realities may well appear, and that may be a foreshadowing. Just like Yo Magic was another product in the ads that's probably foreshadowing rather than homaging something already happened. So that's what I think it could be. That's what I've always thought it could be. Well, it turns out there's a lot of people on the internet who have decided that's exactly what it is and have gone a little nuts. And I'll get more in that in a second. But that's pretty much what happened in the episode and, you know, what I thought about it, what looks to be ahead. So I haven't really read many reactions to the show. I started getting some graphics together to use as the thumbnail for this video and images, and I ran into a bunch of articles that were theories because, you know, the graphics of all these different things. I've seen all these graphic thumbnails with Wanda and or the Vision and other characters, and I'm like, where the hell are they getting the idea any of these characters are going to appear? And a lot of the popular ones, well, the most popular one was Doctor Strange. And I did not assume Doctor Strange would appear, but I kind of thought he would. And there's one reason why, other than the obvious ones I've cited. In interviews, both Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany have referred to a person that was on set that they liked working with from, you know, the MCU, the movies, and they hadn't really worked much with him directly, and it was going to be a surprise to the viewers toward the end of the series. So that bolstered my idea. It must be Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange, so he didn't appear. And actually, no one fitting that description appeared. The Skrull lady, I can't. They didn't interact with her. So, and she's not a major character, nor is she's only in one movie, the Captain Marvel movie. So that didn't happen. So I don't really know what the actors are referring to exactly. Who? I'm a little confused about that. Did it get cut? I don't know. Was it supposed to be a post-credit sequence that just didn't happen? I figured at the very least maybe Doctor Strange would appear in the post-credits. But no, he doesn't appear at all. So that was the most credible rumor, allegation, whatever, and it didn't happen. So then the less credible ones, none of them happened. In the last episode, last two episodes, there are people who are guessing that this engineer character who Monica consults is going to be Reed Richards, and it's going to, you know, be the beginning of bringing the Fantastic Four into the MCU. Of course, it's just some new character, one of her loyal friends from S.W.O.R.D. So, you know, I don't know why people thought it would be Reed Richards. It's like they're hoping, you know, it's like they're grasping at straws, and aerospace, and a lot of people who say these things really don't know much about the older comics anyway. They're pretty much weaned on what's happened in the last 10, 15, 20 years at most. And so it's really hard to really give them much credibility. They jump on trends and, you know, what they think the characters are about. And I don't pretend to know either. I used to think I did, but then Marvel showed me that the characters I grew up with really aren't in the comic books anymore, but they are in the movies for the most part. And therefore, I do feel like some of my theories would be more credible since I know the whole scope of what's happened. But I don't brag about it. I don't claim that knowledge. I've just tried to share some of that knowledge here in these videos to put things into context and to help people out. If these people would write these articles from that point of view, it'd be good, but they're not. It's really just, you know, recent comic books, the episodes, the movies, and their own fan fiction, you know, pipe dreams that are in their head. There was speculation Professor Xavier was going to appear in the last one, that Magneto was going to come and get Scarlet Witch, that Scarlet Witch is a mutant. Oh my God, there were some really insane ones. I'm trying to think of some more insane ones. Those are kind of crazy, but you know, I guess, I don't know. Reed Richards made no sense, but the X-Men one made sense in context with the comic books, but within the context of the MCU, and we don't even know for sure, or even a rumor that any X-Man or any mutant character has been written about or cast yet for any MCU movie. It seems like to jump right in with Xavier and Magneto, that seems absurd. And it is absurd. It didn't happen. Some people thought Nightcrawler was going to appear, some other mutants. I don't know. I don't know if anyone said Phoenix, but that wouldn't surprise me. Phoenix is going to show Wanda how to cope with this kind of thing. And, you know, I guess what I learned, you know, and I'm reading kind of fandom and their opinion of the show, and, you know, a lot of it is cool, and a lot of it is I'm glad that this crossed over. I don't know if you could say it crossed over in the mainstream because it was already a Disney show and it was already based on movies that made billions. So it's already in the mainstream. But Vision and Scarlet Witch haven't really permeated the public consciousness like, say, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk have. I don't even know if they permeated the public consciousness as much as the Black Widow or Hawkeye. I don't think so. But now they have. And that made me happy because they were my favorites out of all those characters that I just mentioned as Avengers. And so in that sense, and also the unconventional nature of the first, like, 2/3 of the series with the sitcom episodes and all these weird mysteries, it was a little non-mainstream. It was a little kind of a more personal story, more of a mind kind of story, like a puzzle to be resolved. And I get why people are jumping on it trying to resolve it. But as with Twin Peaks, you know, too many people jump in and they're like, I have all the answers. Fuck you, you know. And I don't know. I guess all those people must have had some kind of collective aneurysm or cataleptic, you know, seizure when the newest episode finished up, because none of their dreams and fantasies happened. And, you know, which kind of confirmed to me that they were kind of full of shit for all along. And I thought that anyway, and I've mentioned that before. So those are the kind of fans that annoy the hell out of me. And the fan sites, like the clickbait fan bro sites, like, you know, Bleeding Cool and Screen Rant, and yes, I'm forgetting some. IO9. Screen Rant's the worst. They're absolutely the most egregious. They recently wrote an article about how R.L. Stine wrote a terrible comic series about Marvel's worst character, and it was supposed to be Man-Thing. R.L. Stine did a Man-Thing miniseries of years ago. And it was written by this woman who had some kind of journalism experience and some kind of degree. Nobody ever heard of her, though. She's just, like, talking shit. Apparently she does some other columns on Screen Rant, so that's why I've not followed her. I can't remember her name, Samantha something, I think. But, you know, she's full of crap, and Man-Thing is not Marvel's worst character. I'm a huge Man-Thing fan, and I resent that. So, but that brings me to another point of speculation, all the way back to this Nexus of Realities thing. I found out that, you know, I have a store on eBay. And I found out on Facebook through some of these people who were talking about this stuff on a Man-Thing group that Savage Tales #1, the magazine from 1971, comics, you know, with comic book stories launched by Stan Lee in 1971 for a more mature audience. That was the first appearance of Man-Thing. It's black and white interior. And it was by Jerry Conway and art by Gray Morrow. I happen to have Savage Tales #1. I bought it when I was a kid, not a kid, but maybe a teenager, for like $10 or $15. It was in bad condition because back then it was going for like 100, 200. Anyway, as the years went by, the demand for that particular issue went way down, maybe because Man-Thing's the worst character. The issue also has Kazar, Conan, the title, you know, lead character, and written by Roy Thomas, and then Kazar's stories written by Stan Lee. And then Stan Lee also wrote the Femizons, and John Romita did the art. And that was also the first appearance of the Femizons, which we later learned in Jerry Conway's run on the Fantastic Four in the 1970s, that Thundra, the ever-popular character Thundra, was actually one of the Femizons. So she came from the future to here. And that was an interesting storyline. So, I always thought the Femazon's first appearance was a big deal, but no, it's really not to most people. They're like, who the hell are the Femazons? Who the hell's Thundra? You know, Thundra was briefly in the Defenders not too long ago, which I could go into that, but I won't. I have a very oblique connection to that. Um, so yeah, so they're saying Savage Tales is going for huge astronomical amounts of money. As one person said, because of the WandaVision spec, SPEC. And I don't know what spec means, what it meant. Speculation, spec script. I don't know what he meant exactly, and he wouldn't explain to anyone. And then I asked, what is the connection between Savage Tales #1 and WandaVision? This guy told me, he said, the nexus of all realities. So I wrote back, this is a pretty weak link. The reason I say that is because even if we're correct about these theories that I mentioned earlier, that the nexus in the ads in the fake sitcom are referring to the nexus of all realities, and then in the Doctor Strange multiverse film, we will encounter the nexus of all realities, that still doesn't mean Man-Thing's going to appear. And also in Man-Thing's first appearance, there's no nexus of all realities. We do learn later in the Steve Gerber run that it's there. There's a portal to it in the swamp, in Man-Thing Swamp in Citrusville, Florida. We do learn that Man-Thing is kind of a destined being, that he's like the guardian of the nexus. Even though he's mindless, the way we perceive people being mindful, he's nonetheless, that is his kind of cosmic station. I think they'll probably do that in the movies eventually, but I don't know if it'll be in Doctor Strange. The only implication I can think is that Man-Thing will appear in Doctor Strange in this capacity, with or without his origin, and therefore his first appearance is going to be worth a lot of money when the Doctor Strange movie comes out. That's all I've got. And again, there's no evidence of this, really much of any of it. But I will say this: I did repurchase Savage Tales, a much better condition copy, shortly after I moved into my house. I was ordering a few comics on eBay that I'd always wanted. I had extra money in the bank, and I got Savage Tales for $80. Really good condition copy. Well, so I went ahead out of curiosity and looked at my eBay. Looked at eBay. I go on it every day anyway, obviously. I haven't had much business lately, but it's picking up slightly. A bit of nervous wreck over that. So I look at Savage Tales, and sure enough, yep, an average copy, a copy in the same condition as mine, is going for a very, very large amount of money now. And those people who are the ones that are slabbed and certified, like 9.0, 8.5, the real high mint condition ones that you never take out of the slab, you never take out of the plastic thing. It's just for speculation and purchasing and the value of it alone. Coveting it is what this is about, because you never can read the comic book again once it's in there. So I look at that and I think, those copies are going for like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. I had the first appearance of Blade in really good condition, Tomb of Dracula #10, and his was the same way. His top appearances, the top condition copies that were certified, were going for upward toward $5,000. I posted mine for $1,200 last year. Finally, marked it down a little, and a guy gave me an offer for $985. I immediately took it because I really needed the money bad. That's the single most money I've gotten for one of the things I've sold in my collection since I've had my eBay store. Well, I went ahead and put up my Savage Tales last night because I love that issue. I love that comic book. I would love to keep it my whole life. But man, I'm not getting any younger. I've read it. There's easy access to reprints of it. I have a good reprint of the Man-Thing story. So it's really a nostalgia, sentimental, just a cool thing to have, a cool book. It was really a different kind of thing for Marvel to do, and I've always admired it. I've always enjoyed. I thought it was some of the Stan Lee story. The Femazons was some of his best work, regardless of whether he plotted it or John Romita plotted it, but I kind of think that's one that he actually did plot and create. I could be wrong, though. I'm sure John Romita designed the Femazons visually. Stories are great. Roy Thomas, The Frost Giant's Daughter with Conan. It's a story named Black Brother by Dennis O'Neil when he was using Sergius O'Shaughnessy as his pseudonym, his pen name. The Khazar story by Stanley and John Buscema is kind of the weakest one, but it's also kind of entertaining because Stanley was kind of pushing the envelope because Tarzan's kind of a sexist in it, and and the women are like losing their clothes right and left, and John Romita's drawing these kind of barely hint at their nipple kind of thing, and Barry Windsor Smith's doing the same thing in the Conan story. It's this He-Man kind of barbarian thing that Conan, not long before that, like a year before that, had launched as a major phenomenon, and Marvel followed up with tons of stuff, and that's what Savage Tales was a key factor in. And so naturally, you've got characters like Conan and Khazar who are savage. So naturally, they're kind of like these macho guys, and they have the women draped around their leg, laying on the ground on the covers. So that kind of sort of misogyny, or at least chauvinism, is in those stories for sure, and that's definitely a product of that time. It definitely would not go over well today. And Khazar didn't really remain that way as a character. Conan, of course, that's always been an integral part of him, though he did get married and settled down when he became king of Aquilonia. I think that's the name of the city. So, regardless of all this fond memories and sentimentality, I'm selling Savage Tales. So I put it up for $1,000 or best offer. And there is one guy who has one in almost as good condition as mine that he had right out of the gate for $1,000. So mine's in a little better condition. Rather than asking for more than him, I'm undercutting him. So I marked mine down today to $950. And I'm sure I'll mark it down more. I don't expect to get $950 for it. But I'm hoping to get several hundred. I hope sooner than later, but with this economy, it's really hard to say. But with all these rabid fans who are making this sudden, oh my God, connection and driving it up, kind of like the way the Taskmaster's first appearance was driven up by the Black Widow trailers. And then when the movie never materialized, it will eventually, Taskmaster's first appearance went down in value. I mean, at first I had it up for $400. So I had it in really mint condition and signed by George Perez. I had it for $400. That was a competitive price at that time. I think I eventually go for about $200. Over a period of time, I had to keep marking it down. It might have been $175 to even be honest, because by that time, you're good if you could get that much. The buzz around the character had died down. I don't know if that's going to happen with Man-Thing, if this is all about Man-Thing, because he is a more pivotal, heroic character than Taskmaster is a pivotal villain, even though Taskmaster is the pivotal villain in that movie, and he's a very fan favorite kind of character. So his first appearance is, definitely sought. But I kind of feel like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. But I want to ride the crest of the wave, so to speak. Now, Blade is still in demand. Those movies were big. They kind of ushered in Marvel's era of quality film adaptations of their characters after having really none prior to that. And DC had Superman and Batman. Blade kicked off that era, and of course, the first X-Men in 2000, year 2000, cemented that. It's like blueprint for everything that came after, even down to the black leather pants. But Blade, I guess, has become an enduringly popular, well-known pop culture character, thanks to those movies. So, his first appearance is always going to be valuable. I'm sure at some point someone will be able to get a lot more than $985 I got for one in that condition, and they may have already. More power to them. But damn it, I'm going to wring all I can out of the Savage Tales. If I've got to sell it and say goodbye to it, I want recompense for my sorrow, and I really need the money right now. If any of you guys are interested in it, please let me know. I'll give you my eBay page. I think I did put my eBay link in one of my videos. I'll go ahead and put it in this one too. I might even put a link right to Savage Tales, #1. Um, but that is kind of the most extreme example of fan speculation around what was going to happen in WandaVision. WandaVision became kind of a cause celeb, so to speak, and I get it, and I'm glad it crossed over that way in a way. In a way that it got other people who wouldn't necessarily get into those characters or weren't as familiar with those characters into this. The rabid extreme fans that I've been talking about, though, I think it gave them a lot of fodder to like just talk endless stupid bullshit online, and that's kind of what they do anyway, and that's their prerogative. It's just I hate when people spread misinformation or even disinformation. I don't care about their theories, their lame kind of half-baked fan fiction in their head canon going on. I mean, I've had my share in my lifetime. I just never kind of beat people over the head with it online. I think it's kind of juvenile. Um, but then again, I write my own fiction with my own characters, so what do I know? Yeah, so anyway, I think fandom, that segment of fandom, as the way I would put it, is with WandaVision, that segment of fandom really showed their collective ass. And it was ugly and it stank. And Jesus. So I'm glad they were proven wrong about most of their theories. But Man Thing, I don't know. I don't know. And if I can profit off that too, I'm not going to complain. And I love Man Thing anyway. So um, I hope Nexus of Realities does appear. It's a great Steve Gerber creation. He's my favorite comic book writer ever. I own a Steve Gerber group on Facebook. Look it up. You're free to try to join, apply. A lot of his collaborators and ex friends and girlfriends, and I think his daughter are all members. Great group. So Steve Gerber, yeah. If that's in the Multiverse of Madness, then Sam Raimi's doing a solid. I could see Sam Raimi putting Man Thing in there, or at least a teaser for him. So maybe there's a connection there. So last final thoughts to sum up is where fandom really blew up, and not just that kind of annoying part of fandom, but really fandom in general, and especially the crossover audience with the more mainstream audience blew up was over Agatha / Agnes, played by Catherine Hahn. Like I said, she's growing on me. It's fine. I think she served her function in the story, but to have the revelation come so late into the show, and then have to cram all this stuff about how important it was, and her revealing the prophecy of the Scarlet Witch. There was that I can discern, no hints, and I'm pretty damn good at this Easter egg kind of shit, and I know the comics, like I said. So, I don't know. If I went back and watched the whole thing beginning to end, I might feel differently. Then I will do that. Watch the whole 4.5 hour, 5 hour, whatever, the whole entirety of it. Probably when it comes on Blu-ray. If I have any money, I'll buy it and watch it in that fashion. It's one piece, which I see it as one piece, just like Twin Peaks: The Return, and a lot of other older miniseries like Centennial and what have you are considered like one piece, like Shogun, and they're in Letterboxd and a lot of other authoritative sites, more authoritative sites, as being like one movie more or less, like Fassbinder's Berlin Alexanderplatz. It's a 15-hour movie now, but it was a German TV series show. And his World on a Wire is like a 4.5 hour movie, but it was originally a miniseries on German TV. So it can, despite the origin of the medium, I guess it's what the work is, and how contained the work is, and how strong and consistent it is as one piece, and with the same guiding director and talents. So I think that's what the difference is. So I'm happy to say Wanda's joined this league. So I put it as one of my favorite Marvel Universe, MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe movies or works or whatever, because I have a list of them all ranked how I ranked them, and I ranked it as number 5, my 5th favorite of all of them, out of 24 now. So that's pretty high. I loved it. I really loved it. It was kind of a fun event every week to have happen, kind of like Twin Peaks Return was. Um, there was some crushing on Darcy going on all around, and I told you my feelings about her last time or the time before, and they were kind of, very lustful and filled with admiration. So I'm noticing I'm not the only one. A friend of mine said I'm old enough to be her father. Is it proper for me to be lusting after Kat Dennings and or the character of Darcy Lewis? And I just wrote no. Everyone else had these long, long answers, and of course, a bunch of people chimed in with like, "Well, I mean, it's a fictional character you're really liking, and I mean, it's taboo in society, but," and it's like, Kat Dennings is well over 21. So if a 50, 55, 60-year-old man finds her attractive, there's really no problem there legally or culturally. There's quite a lot of precedence for it. I've always been kind of drawn to much younger women, and they to me, not always, but often, but not minors. So a guy, a mature guy, finding Darcy, to be a hot character or a hot actress playing her, uh, it's really just human nature. It's human sexuality. People need to get over themselves and just stop being so sex negative and uptight and prudish. In the 80s, it was the Republicans jamming this down our throats because of religion. In the 2010s, and 2020s, it's the Democrats jamming the same exact kind of uptight, censorious, if that's a word, actions down our throat in the name of whatever, political correctness. I'm not against political correctness. I'm not against polite reassessment of previously narrow-minded and racist, or homophobic, or transphobic values. I'm all for it. But in works of fiction, you have to I don't think you have to, but I tend to check reality at the door. I don't try to bring my personal reality in as baggage and apply it to the characters or the author. And I don't bring in the author's personal life into the equation either. It may bias me in some ways, but it's not going to change the way I view the work. I don't mind if other people, if it affects you that way, like you found out that Polanski, is a pervert, and you're going to like, fuck that fucking Rosemary's Baby, that fucking Chinatown, I'm going to boycott him. That's your prerogative, but I'm not that kind of person at all. I'm going to keep my Blu-ray of Repulsion, regardless of who Roman Polanski had sex with. And it's not important to me. I'm not saying I support him morally, but it's like the episode I did about a Serbian film. I had people accusing me of like being just like horrible for even watching it, much less liking it. And I didn't even say I loved it or was a fanatic. I mean, I know people who are fanatical. I mean, I know the people online who put out the official Blu-ray that just came out, which I still don't have money to buy, and would like to own. But if I were as obsessed with it as some people are, I would have bought it already. But I am a fan of the movie. It's not in my top 200, might be in my top 500. Certainly is in my top controversial movies. And a lot of people hate on it for other reasons. They think it's just a low quality work. I think it's overrated, not extreme enough for some people. But anyway, I was being yelled at. I told you about that on that video in a film group that I own on Facebook. I was attacked by two young ladies, and I thought they knew me better than to accuse me of such weird things, basically of supporting things that are depicted in a Serbian film. So because you watch a movie that depicts horrible acts, that automatically means in that work of fiction that you support personally those horrible acts. That's putting writers and creative people on a leash, because there are things in Flickr Street that would bug the hell out of people if they applied that criteria. I'm not saying Flickr Street is like, triple X, category 3, Serbian film level. It's not. But there are some scenes that are pretty graphic that I've written, and sexually and violence and both together, kind of like a Serbian film, though not that exact, plot or whatever. But I like to push the envelope, and I've been writing scenes like that since I was a kid. And when I was a kid, they seemed to be the anomaly, because I wasn't seeing them in the comic books that were influencing me, but I kind of wanted to. As I became an adult, it's like, I found comics that broke all the strictures. And then my own work broke it. And then my own work kind of broke out of being just comic influenced and was influenced by my life a lot and by other works like cinema. And Twin Peaks and I were kind of contemporaries, but I wasn't writing on that level. But I was exploring like multiple interlocking characters, like a soap opera with genre elements, kind of convoluted with some hidden meanings and some adult kind of ideas. Uh, but I now, after I've experienced Twin Peaks and come full circle and see that that's one reason I came to love Twin Peaks, is I have a natural affinity for those kind of modes of storytelling and those tropes. So naturally, they're in my work, and I feel good about it. And I can cite Twin Peaks itself as now an influence on my work. It would be an honor to follow in any of those. Flicker Street is a place, name of a place, just like Twin Peaks, just like Mulholland Drive, just like Inland Empire. So stuff's, Lynch themes. So again, not sure how I got off on the whole morality and artwork tangent, but let's track way back. Oh, over Kat Dennings, lusting over Kat Dennings. There's nothing wrong with it, dudes. You're human. You have hormones. It's a pretty natural deal. So yeah, those are some points. I thought Catherine Hahn was overrated, fetishized by fandom. Though I have had friends who gave me some insight into why they thought that was, and I'm not going to get into that now because it's getting into all kinds of sexual politics and sexual dynamics and minorities that I respect, and I have friends who fall under those categories. But I'm not an expert. I'm not one of them, and so I can't comment from that perspective on those kind of views on a fictional character like that. There's a word or two I'm forgetting that I wanted to apply, but oh well. So I'll leave others to that. But that gave me some insight, and like I said, I just thought it was a bit much. That's just my personal opinion. I'll drop it after this because obviously she's going to go down in history as a beloved character of the MCU and a beloved actress, and I guess already is a beloved actress among comedy fans. So yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with it. I mean, I get it. And of course, like I said, so that's one summation. The other is, Kat Dennings / Darcy is hot, whatever. Whether some of these I agree with, some of them I don't. Some of them I care about, some I don't. The really important things to me personally, which I don't see talked about very much, unfortunately, but I do have a Reddit. I am on a Reddit group for WandaVision. I'm hoping some intelligent discourse may pop up there because I don't see it happening on Facebook. And that's really the emotional undertow or underpinning of WandaVision. And it was beautifully done in the end. It was pretty sad. I mean, their love story is classic in comic books, and now it's classic in genre films, filmed genre works. And that makes me really happy that it's been translated. It's an emotional thing for me. And I guess I understand not everyone's going to get that or focus on that or even care about it. It's just going to be one other soap opera like element, to them, and it may be entertaining, but it may have no other resonance, to them. Catherine Hahn being campy and Kat Dennings being hot are really kind of, what they're getting out of WandaVision. That's kind of what that's their kick. I don't know, maybe they could be lusting after Jimmy Woo character, the Jimmy Woo character, or really excited about Jimmy Woo because he's a major Asian character in a Marvel movie, which they really have not had any, and they're getting ready to do Shang-Chi, so they better hop on it. It really depends on your personal experience or perspective. Like I said, I don't bring my personal morality into works of fiction, but I do bring my own perspective as far as, especially into works of fiction that are adapted from other media, other works of fiction. So whenever a book or a TV series or a comic book is adapted or remade into another film to work, be it on TV or in film, I have a vested interest in that because I'm fascinated by that, and I like the adaptation process is fascinating. A lot of times, I tend to judge those kind of works in two ways, merit-wise. Uh, One is as a work on its own, does it succeed? Is it a work that stands on its own? Is it a good a good piece of art? The other is how well does it work as an adaptation? So there's a lot of things that I have watched. I've seen every single key adaptation from comics that I'm alluding to, and I've seen a lot from books, a lot from other media, but TV shows being turned into movies or being remakes of old movies even, and that's kind of a lot of them have failed as adaptations. That doesn't mean they're fail as works of art. So something can be one and not the other. Wolverine Origins kind of fails as a work of art. I mean, it's kind of like you could like it as a guilty pleasure thing, or if you're a Wolverine completist, uh, it just doesn't hew together for me. Pardon the pun. That's HEW. Um, it didn't work. It failed on that level as something uh, timeless or memorable going forward. However, as an adaptation of catching all of the beats that are essential from the whole spectrum of Wolverine's origin in chronological order, even though certain details are changed for sure, it succeeds. It succeeds to me as an adaptation, absolutely. So I don't know if everybody knows what I mean by all this, but if you do, maybe think about that next time you're into, appreciating a filmed work based on something you've already experienced in another media or prior to that. Uh, you may hate it, but maybe it does work as an adaptation. Maybe for the fans of the original work, that's something to admire about it. It's always aspects of cinema that different lenses, pardon the pun, that you can view cinema through, different perspectives. And I've talked about this before, and it's one reason I am doing Blue Review and this one to a lesser extent. And like I said before, it's a show concept that was kind of in line with the one that my ex-fiance had, and it would have been exciting to do one with her on YouTube if we'd stayed together in our partnership, love partnership, and our artistic partnership, which is also very strong and entrenched and remained. Analyzing cinema from different viewpoints, philosophical viewpoints, cultural viewpoints, esoteric viewpoints, symbolism, and such. I really enjoy doing that stuff with her, and I really enjoy doing it anyway myself. So I like finding these elements. I like finding Easter eggs in the Marvel movies. I like finding all the occult symbolism in Holy Mountain. To me, it's all kind of the same kind of thrill to me personally. It's part of that same energy field of an artist's creation. Wow, so I've gotten real philosophical, but I'm much happier with what I've said this time than the last ones. I didn't cheat and watch some of the show, and I hope I didn't recite the plot by rote, but I just wanted to give some insight into why I like and dislike what I like and dislike about WandaVision, and what I've encountered as far as other people's impressions of it. And I know I'm going to read some intelligent ones, and I'm probably going to read some more awful ones and annoying ones. So, I really kind of avoided that stuff watching the series, and but now that I've encountered a lot of it, it's like, wow, I'm kind of glad I avoided some of that. But I would like to see if anybody has something good to say. I mean, I have seen some bad reviews, like bad headlines and blurbs about the show as a show not being good or not being good in context with the Marvel movies. But fuck those people. I don't care what they think. And they're really probably just, again, they're smashing you with headlines, just like a newspaper. It's clickbait, and it's the internet. It's the internet iteration of yellow journalism. So that's it. So I don't know what TV show I'll talk about next. I am going to do a second part on Breaking Bad when I finish it. I'm wrapping up season 4, so when I wrap up season 5 and it's fresh in my mind, I'll talk about seasons 4 and 5 and the finale. Like my last one, check it out. I did a video about Breaking Bad, the first 3 seasons, and my impressions of it, and of course, put that into perspective that I know that it's a cultural phenomenon. It was a huge hit, and Bryan Cranston won 5,000 acting awards, which I think he deserved every one of them. I know all that, so it's just my viewpoint on Breaking Bad with the knowledge I'm bringing to it, but not my more personal morality. I'm not there to judge meth heads, nor am I, you know, nor am I a proponent of being a meth head. I'm as an observer in a fictional story about meth heads and meth dealers and meth cookers. I'm ambivalent. I'm neutral. So I don't judge Walter and Jesse that way. So their moral fiber, I judge them more as characters. So what does resonate with me? So I'll look forward to doing that. I hope you'll look forward to seeing it. Other than that, it could be anything, and more other videos will come up soon. So thanks a lot for listening. This is probably going to end up being my very longest single video I've ever done. I apologize if spending an hour with me is kind of painful. I mean, I don't blame you. I get it. I mean, think about me. I have to spend every minute of every day with me for the rest of my life. And that's a lot for me to put up with. So if you're feeling even a fraction of that, I apologize. So anyway, take care. Love you guys.